Hello and welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. It's certainly been a while since we've talked about football, but we are back in the year 2023 and it's lovely to be here. Let's see who we've got on the show today before we dive into our post-match analysis of the Southampton game and the Arsenal game. We're going to get a 2-for-1 today, guys. We welcome Joe. Joe, my friend, how are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, not too bad. Still recovering from this weird flu thing that's been going around. Pretty much everyone that didn't get the flu jab. So, if you are suffering with that out there, I'm sorry. It will get better. Takes about 2 weeks. That's the bad news you didn't want, but it does get better. But yeah, not bad, mate.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Aaron, it's good to see you back, brother. How are you been keeping?
Good till Joe muted my mic there. Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you. Not too bad. Happy New Year to all the listeners and to you three as well.
Happy New Year to you too, Aaron. And we also welcome back Kurtis friend. Kurtis friend, how are you?
Splendid. Yeah, glad to be here on the first podcast of the year, or first of many, of course. Looking forward to talking about the games and yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, we haven't done one over the festive period, what with people being ill, obviously people being busy, time for family and all that jazz.
Well,
So
there
we
was
are
the Christmas one that I wasn't there for, if you remember. So.
Oh yeah, we talked about it and Santa had some choice opinions about that malarkey. Phew. What a guy. But now we're back and we're here to bring you some football analysis. So we're going to spend a little moment just having a little recap of the Southampton game and the performance there. We won't dive too in depth into the game because obviously it's been quite a while since then. But Joe, first game since the World Cup, first league game, I should say, since returning of the World Cup. What did you make of the performance?
Obviously, people were a little bit disheartened after the Charlton game, going out to a League One side on penalty shootout. Should have killed the game in the 90 minutes, and the performances just weren't there. It was clear to see that we hadn't been, playing competitively as a team for six odd weeks, and we wanted a reaction, and that's exactly what we got. Really happy that we did get that reaction. Shows De Zerbi can get the best out of the guys under. The pressure when the pressure is on, because it would have been there. The fans obviously weren't happy, as I say, after Charlton, and it'll be similar tomorrow as well. We're going to want that mentality to be top notch, and that's what De Zerbi gives us. So yeah, really happy with the performance, and it was a great way to round off the or to start the festive period, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the football we were playing against Southampton was absolutely scintillating. Especially, I thought the Estupinian and Matoma link up down that side was very spicy indeed. And Aaron, we rocked up to Southampton, and there was a familiar face in the opposition dugout. Nathan Jones, of course, has taken on the role of Southampton head coach. How did you feel seeing Nathan in the opposing dugout?
It was quite nice, to be honest. I think seeing him step up to the Premier League, I do feel it maybe a little bit early for him, and he's taken a big job a bit too soon potentially. It's going to be a difficult job for him anyway, whoever took over Hasenhüttl. And I think it showed on Boxing Day that he just wasn't ready for us, and I think that's credit to us more than a dig at Jones, because we, like Joe said, we wanted a reaction from the dismal display on at the Valley, and I think we rightly so we got it, and we deserved the 3 points pretty much. Really, as soon as we kicked off, we looked like probably the only team really who were going to score. They had the first couple of minutes, they've done all right, had a corner, but other than that, they've threatened very little throughout the game, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was a one-way traffic throughout, really, wasn't it? At times, Kurtis, we were given, the park just to play on, weren't we? Southampton really didn't look like they were going to do anything. Do you think Nathan Jones has got a hope to keep Southampton out of the bottom three?
Well, from what I was reading, the fans aren't too optimistic about it, Southampton fans, and they have every right to be worried, where they are in the table and everything. But I feel like they might need to accept the fact that they might go down with him, and you might have to do a bit of a rebuilding job. It's just the harsh realities of it, and I feel like to go from Ralph Hasenhüttl to a new person, it was always going to be a risk, but I felt like they needed to get some fresh blood in anyway, because it was getting a bit stale under him, I would argue. So I don't know. They need to give someone some time. If that's Nathan Jones, then good, but we'll see.
That we shall. A bit less about Southampton then, Joe, and a bit more about your boy, Solly March, who put in an absolutely fantastic display. Got an assist for the first goal, which Bazunu really should have done better with. Playing League One football for Portsmouth last season. Just an interesting factoid there for you. Got an assist for the first goal, did Arsenal. Put pressure on the defender to cause the second goal, and then scored an absolute worldie for the third. So, Joe, great performance from Solly.
Yeah, and he had probably one more notable chance that sort of found its way behind him, and sort of mistimed his run. But that's the thing with Solly, is the confidence in front of goal. I don't think the experience of playing in the Premier League in the forward positions is quite there for him yet. Obviously, we've seen him play in wing back, etc. And he's been given a different role by De Zerbi. He's been told all out attack, make yourself better, get yourself some goals. And I'm looking forward to the rise of Solly March under De Zerbi, because I think he's only going to give him more confidence. He's put so much trust in him, and just so delighted for him to be so involved in all three goals, really. And to get that screamer of a goal, people obviously laughing about him missing at Charlton. Should have probably scored in the 90 minutes as well. A fantastic turn, and obviously missed at the far post. But we've seen right from the start of Solly March that's what he can do. He has got that quality, and he continues to show it. Whether people see that or not, that's up to them to look past the agenda. But I think Solly March is there to stay. I think he's probably one of our best players going forwards. And yeah, we scream for him to score more goals, but there is no denying how effective he is for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring up this point a bit later, but I'm going to do it now just because it's sort of flowed quite nicely into this. Aaron, it's been really refreshing to play with wingers. One thing under Potter that perhaps we didn't do because of obviously utilising a wing-back system was playing with out-and-out wingers. I think the likes of Solly March, Matoma have been fantastic under Roberto De Zerbi, which has meant that Leandro Trossard, through perhaps injuries to Welbeck, has found himself more often than not playing as an out-and-out striker. Now, I don't think that works, personally. What do you feel is Trossard's best position?
Are we talking in general this year or for the next game?
Okay, then let's put it for both. Where if you've got to start Trossard in the next game against Everton, where would you play him?
On the bench. Is the answer to that question? If you're playing March and Matoma, you can't play Trossard. He's not an out-and-out striker. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And he has been absolutely woeful in the last 3 games. It just looks like he's turned up and just doesn't really give two flying monkeys. That's what it looks like. And didn't really even realise he was really playing, to be honest. Yes, on Saturday. He's looked well off it. And you'd think he'd be up for it being a top 6 club coming to the Amex. He normally turns up, and he didn't. I will say it. I'll say it now. If a bid came in for him, take it. In this window, take it. We're not like we're short on wingers, and if we are, we bring some more players in. That's my personal opinion. He's been fantastic this year, but if he thinks he's going to go to a top 6 club with those performances, he's never going to get there. In the last 3 games proves that point, where he's too hot and cold for those big clubs, and that's not even really a dig. It's just stating facts. He's too hot and cold, and that's I think the way he's probably always going to be. And if like I said, if a bid comes in, take it. You know, if it's an acceptable bid, then I personally would say take it, and we rebuild from there. Because realistically, he's got a contract extension till next summer. I can say next summer now, not 2024. Next summer. And if he renews, I doubt it, because he wants his agents pushing for a move allegedly. By all means, he won't start at Chelsea. He won't start at Tottenham. He won't start at United. He won't start at City. He won't start for Arsenal. There's nowhere in the Premier League he can really go unless he wants to sit on the bench. And even then, the grass isn't always greener. Look at Basuma. Look at Kukurea. Prime examples. The only one who's actually excelled to a certain degree is Ben White.
And even then, that took Ben White being turned into a right back, really, didn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Even at centre back, I thought he's done okay, but as a right back, he really has flourished. And credit to Arteta for that, and we'll get more into that, no doubt, in the next segments.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just quite an interesting one just to bring up Trossard there, Kurtis, because as I say, we've seen Solly March have such a good season. We're playing without and out wingers now with Matoma on one side, March on the other. And again, we'll talk about their performances in the Arsenal game in a short while, but Sarmiento and Enciso as well, playing really well when they've been called upon. And it does make you really wonder how Trossard, who, as Aaron has rightfully said, is so hot and cold, how does he keep his place in this side at the moment? And what would you do? Turbo does Kurtis. I'm sorry, I completely butchered that. But what would you do if you got a bid for him in January? Because I don't think he's consistent enough myself.
Yeah, I mean, he always seems to have these patches where he just completely drops off. And I thought, oh, don't worry, you know, the Arsenal game's coming up. He'll pick up. That's what he does for the big games. And then he looked invisible, you know, for the entire game. When I think he was subbed off, and I was like, oh, he was playing, right, okay. It was that. In regards to like him going, if the right offer came in, I would accept it as well. I mean, I like Trossard when he's on, he's fantastic. You know, when he's really gives I won't swear, when he really cares, he plays really, really well. But I think I agree with what Aaron has to say. I mean, if a good offer comes in, we should accept it because, you know, I don't think we'd be any weaker without him. So.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, Joe, just want to get your thoughts on that. You know, I put it out on Twitter that I would say that Trossard, you know, a worthy bid should be considered because he's probably the least consistent winger we've got at the squad. But he does also fill in that false nine position. He can be a match winner on his day. But what would Joe do as a manager?
I think when the agent talk is there that he's pushing for a move, whether that be complete smoke, but you know, there's no smoke without fire. Whether it's the media pushing for something, I don't know. But when you've got a player that's coming towards the end of their contract, there's only an option for an extra year, as Aaron was talking about. You don't know whether they will sign an extension. I think you always have to consider an offer if it does come in, because we don't want a situation where he runs his contract down. He's filling a place in the squad. He's not really caring. And then at the end, we lose him for free. So I think it would be smart business to accept an offer and getting some fresh blood who want to push on with our football club and do something really special with us. Again, Aaron brought up the fact that the grass isn't always greener. And I was saying to my dad on the way home, like, why not stay at this football club and achieve something really special with us? Because we are knocking on the door for European football. And it's really exciting time to be a Brighton player, to be a Brighton fan, to be a staff member at the club. Why not stay with us and achieve something really special rather than go to a top six club, be under that pressure that we've seen? Basuma was booed. Kukurea, Chelsea fans really don't like him. Graham Potter, obviously, it's clear to see what's happening there. The pressure he's being put under. Stay where you're you're loved. Stay where you're already happy. Don't always look for that. And it's easy for me to say as a Brighton fan. Of course it is. I've got my blue and white tinted spectacles on. But the grass is greener where you water it. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I think you talk about watering that grass. Look no further than what the club have just done for the return of Alexis McAllister. What a way to show a player that he's appreciated. You know, I mean, we really missed him against Arsenal, which we will come to in just a moment. But no, what a way to show a player that you appreciate him and what he means to the team, and to walk into your training ground and to be greeted with a standing ovation like that.
And to mention his interview with Sky Sports, the integrity of that man. Like, what a guy to come back from a World Cup and to sit there and say, no, I am happy here. So many players will give it the, you never know what can happen. Trossard's given it for the last God knows how many times when he's been on international duty with Belgium to the Belgian media. Oh, you never know what the future holds. Of course, players want to play at the highest level. Even there's been a quote that Caicedo, any player would want to play for Chelsea, blah, 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 blah. McAllister comes in and says, no, I'm happy here. The club know how grateful I am. If it wasn't for Brighton Hove Albion, really, who would have known who McAllister is? Who would have known that he's that good to get called up to a World Cup squad and go on and be an integral part of winning that World Cup for Argentina? So I think, and it's all well and good me saying this, I don't know, but I think McAllister knows what's good for him. And let's just hope that there's more to his words and that he does want to stay with us, because he could go down as one of the very, 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 very best this football club's seen.
Most definitely, Joe. And, as I've just alluded to, we really missed him against Arsenal. So let's talk about the Arsenal game then, because it was polar opposites to the Southampton game, really, because against Southampton, we were fluid. We were fantastic in possession and we marauded forward and got 3 deserved goals, and we could have scored more. Against Arsenal, Aaron, for the first hour, it was the complete opposite. We are going to have to talk about that. We obviously were weakened. We lost Caicedo because he picked up a booking against Southampton. So Billy Gilmour came in a midfield 3, which consisted of Gilmour, Lallana and Gross. So it was always going to be a tough ask to come up against an Arsenal side who are top of the table. But even so, Aaron, for the first hour, it was tough watching and an appalling way to start, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think appalling is probably a very good word for it, because it was appalling. For me, I wasn't at the Villa game, but that's probably one of the worst performances I've seen probably for a while. It just seems so off it. So off it. And I can't even say Arsenal played particularly well. They were just clinical. And, what better way to start a game against your bogey team than go 1-0 up under a minute? And from that moment onwards, it was just backs against the wall. We could have quite easily been 3 or 4-0 down at half time. And to be honest, I would have no complaints. Would have absolutely zero complaints if we were 3 or 4-0 down at half time. And yeah, the first goal comes from another defensive mistake, and then the second goal comes from a defensive mistake, and guess what? The third goal comes from a defensive mistake. And these are all individual errors that can be cut out. Arsenal didn't make. I think Sanchez made one good save, which is the header from Gabriel. Other than that, I don't think he was really tested. I can't recall him making another save from that. But, no doubt we'll go on to the goals in the second half. But first half, they dominated us. We done nothing. And I think that's, if I'm honest, did De Zerbi get their selection wrong? Maybe. I personally probably wouldn't have played Lamptey as a right back. I would have probably played him a bit further forward to help Veltman, personally, because I just felt like that's where the issues were constantly. Martinelli was just skinning Lamptey every single time, and I haven't seen Lamptey look so lost in a long time. He did seem well above his pay grade on Saturday. which is a shame because he's been really good this year. We just did well off it. Everyone did. There's not a single player on that pitch could say for the first hour I played well. And I know, yeah, we done well for the last 20 minutes. I couldn't care less. We're a Premier League club. We shouldn't say, oh, well done for 20 minutes. Well done. Congratulations. The game's gone then. What's the point? We got what we deserved. We weren't good enough. And if we putting smoke up people's hearts because they played well for 20 minutes in the Premier League, but it doesn't mean nothing. We still lost. And that the performance itself was not good enough.
No arguments here. I think that was the overwhelming thing for me, was just that sense of frustration because, Arsenal aren't top of the league for nothing. They're a decent outfit, but I do think we made them look better than perhaps they were on the night, simply because of how, as you say, Aaron, they were very clinical and we were the polar opposite of that. Kurtis, I think one of the biggest issues in the first half we had was the lack of control in the middle of the park. Do you put that down to, the loss of Caicedo? Or do you think that, again, maybe Arsenal were just a bit too good? One of my main criticisms of that first half was we were giving Martin Ødegaard far too much time and space, and he's too good of a player to allow that.
I mean, to answer what you said, I think yes to both things. I do think we missed those key players, absolutely. I think Caicedo would have been integral to that midfield. He definitely would have played, obviously. But yeah, that midfield was just completely overrun. Gilmour struggled quite a lot in that first half. And, to be fair, the whole squad did. The whole squad looked completely off of it, as Aaron alluded to. But I think that it was always going to be a really bloody tough ask for us to get anything. But we should have played much better in that first half. We looked completely off of it. So
yeah, if you discounted the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes, it was pretty poor. But then obviously you can't do that. I mean, to go in at half time, Joe 2-0 down was perhaps unsurprising. And we started the second half as equally as badly as we started the first. Trossard gives the ball away, Arsenal counter-attack, and Sanchez makes a bit of a mess, and Arsenal get a tap in. What did you make of that third goal?
It's exactly what happens when you're off it against top of the league. You make those individual errors, they are going to punish you every single time. And it's unbelievably frustrating when those individual errors can be stamped out. And we know we are a better team than that. We know we can be coached better. We know we've got better play. It was frustrating because obviously, yes, McAllister wasn't there. Yes, Caicedo wasn't there. You hope that people would step up, and it just simply didn't work. And De Zerbi changed things, and the game changed slightly. I know, Aaron, you say, it doesn't matter, the game's gone. But I thought it was important to see that we could change something and have a little bit more positivity come out of it, because I didn't walk away from that. Obviously, I'm absolutely fuming with the result. Of course I am. You never want your football club to lose. But I'm walking away from that with at least some positives, where I can say, Ferguson, unbelievable. And Ciso when he came on, Sarmiento when he came on, really positive impacts. Mitoma, we finally saw what he's been doing so regularly, and it was frustrating that we couldn't really get him into the game. And I've said it in the group chat, I'll say it here. Sometimes you have to sit back and say, Arsenal, they punished us when they had to. They beat us in all the areas of the game when they had to. And that's what Arteta's changed them into. That 2 years ago, we wouldn't have seen that from an Arsenal team, or a year ago, we wouldn't have seen that from an Arsenal team. And they've just simply punished us because we weren't at it. We weren't there. So sometimes you just have to go, yeah, we were outplayed, and we were.
The thing is, I don't think we really, for the first hour, we weren't even outplayed, because Arsenal, we made Arsenal look good. That was the thing. We made them look. Don't get me wrong, they're top of the league. They're obviously going to be good, but you can't give the likes of Martin Ødegaard, was 14 when he made his professional debut in Norway. 16 when he moved to Madrid. He is a world-class player. And the fact we were just giving him so much room to just glide past the pitch, you can't do that at this level. And
But the thing is, Aaron, we were outplayed. We were crap. They were better than crap. So in that sense, that's being outplayed.
Question for you then, Joe: how much of that is down to Arsenal being good, and how much is it of us being bad? Because
but they have to take advantage of those mistakes.
Oh yeah,
and I'm
not saying that, but I don't. All of those goals, from my perspective, are preventable because all of them came from an error, and I know that's just part and parcel of football. So I totally get that, but it's not like. We know sometimes when we've played against Man City and they've just carved us open, or there was that game against Chelsea a few years ago where what's his face? Oh God, I can't remember his name. Hazard just carved us open as if we were like hot knife through butter. It wasn't like that. It was here you go, Arsenal, have the ball. Oh, you've scored.
No, but I think you can be outplayed at different levels. I don't think it has to be an absolute onslaught to be outplayed. As I said, we were crap. They were better than crap. Therefore, we were outplayed.
I like that. They were better than crap.
They were. They weren't special.
That's all it takes.
And that's it. We weren't at the level. They were at some kind of level to go and score 4 goals against us. So therefore, we have been outplayed in the areas of the pitch because whether they forced the mistakes or whether the mistakes were there always to happen, it's happened. So. In my mind, we've been outplayed.
Let's talk about, before we come on to our goals, let's get all the negative stuff out of the way first. Because Aaron, the 4th goal that we conceded, we will talk about Mitoma's goal because it was lovely. But I just want to talk about this 4th goal because, as I say, negativity out the way. We just scored 3-1. We're on the front foot, and then an absolute howler from Sanchez. What did you make of that 4th one?
I would say more the 3rd one's more of a howler than the 4th.
Really, personally. I thought the nutmeg gives me nightmares just thinking about it.
To be honest, I think the issue with the 4th is Lamptey's positioning more than anything. He's so touch tight to Martinelli, but the fact he's not tight enough to then be able to let him run past him into a massive gap of open green field. He needs to be a little bit more sensible there and step away a bit. Close that gap down. So if the ball gets played there, you'll be able to get there quicker. I've not seen Lamptey outpaced before. And he was outpaced by an absolute mile. And that's something is a little bit concerning. Is it his hamstring holding him back? Is he slower than what he was before? Who knows? Martinelli, granted, is rapid. And he did have Lamptey on absolute toast every time he went near him. But then with the 3rd goal, Sanchez just spills it right in front of Nketiah. That to me was a bigger howler than the 4th because the pass is good from Odegaard.
Oh yeah, can we just talk about that pass from Martin Odegaard? Was
disgusting.
I think that was the only time Arsenal made me go, yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. It just because I remember seeing that ball get played over, and the guys around us which went, "Oh fuck!" And it just you can just see it happening, and yeah, it was poor goalkeeping. Sanchez was very poor throughout the game, and 2 mistakes from him cost us 2 goals. But as a goalkeeper, you make a mistake 90% of the time, it's going to be a goal. The shot which he spilled in front of Nketiah should not be spilling that. That's bread and butter. And the ones at his feet, if you don't move your feet quick enough, it's going to happen. It shouldn't, not at the level we're playing at, but it will. And people on Twitter, you've got to drop Sanchez. Well, that's not going to do any good. I personally wouldn't drop him. He's had 1 poor game. He has a mistake in him. We all know that. But he has got some of the best shot-stopping ability I've seen for a long time in a Brighton goalkeeper. I remember you said it, I think Cam said it in the chat. It was very Matt Ryan-like, which is very true. Those are the mistakes I expect from Matt Ryan. Not as Sanchez has them in him. He does. but not as regular. Where beforehand it felt like every other game, T-Rex arms couldn't catch a ball, and I love being negative. It's my favourite thing to do. It makes me happy, and to see the slander about Sanchez on Twitter is some of it's justified. I get it. I do. Some of it, calling to be dropped and be sold, and we need to have a goalkeeper, is just absolute nonsense. Because there is no better goalkeeper his age in world football right now that realistically we can buy.
High praise indeed.
I forgot about the fact that he saved a penalty at Southampton, didn't he, as well, which was amazing.
It was a dreadful penalty, by the way. We would like to point that out, but he did save it. And don't get me wrong, when Revo went back to him, I did laugh. I think, yeah, that sums it about right. Sums it really about right. But it's what it is. We've spoken about the negativity and how poor we were and how little we got out of the game, but we saw two glimpses. And to be fair, 20 minutes of actual reasonably good football from even when we went 3-1 up, 3-1 down. We actually looked like we wanted to actually turn up, and I think that in itself is a bit like, oh well, at least we. The youngsters came on and gave it a go, but by that point the game was done. And it was a sort of not a free hit, I think it's the wrong way, but it's sort of go and express yourself. Just enjoy it. If it happens, it happens.
And it was so close to happening, Kurtis, at times. So we've talked about most of the negativity. There's still one little bit of negativity we'll talk about in a minute. But there was glimpses of hope at times. And it all started when this man scored.
That's a nice shirt, Tom. That's a lovely
Thank
shirt.
you. From the fine people.
For the audio listeners, that was a picture of Karu Matoma. The t-shirt, the Japanese t-shirt that Dogma did, which is absolutely wonderful.
And you can find it on their store. There was some glimpses, Kurtis. So let's talk about Matoma first of all. Scored a really nice goal. What did you make of it? What did you make of Matoma's performance in general? Do you think that Arsenal did quite a decent job of keeping him quiet for the first hour or so?
Yeah, Ben White did a really good job against him. I thought. I think when they took him off and replaced him with Tomiyasu, I think that's when Matoma had a bit more freedom. Definitely, I think it was good, and that goal was spicy. It was beautiful, and yeah, that was just that spark. I think that that bit of belief that we needed to do something other than nothing. So yeah, it was fantastic to see. Fantastic to see.
Yeah, Matoma does seem to have found himself in a bit of purple patch of form. And, going back to the top of the show, Matoma and March for me have to start. So once Welbeck's back fit, or if Evan Ferguson starts against Everton, who we will talk about in just a second, it's going to be Matoma. It's going to be Trossard that's dropped out of the favour of the two of them. We finally showed a bit of belief, and then we we threw that a little bit away. But then Joe, we found a bit more belief, and it was one of those where it was something out of nothing. I think it was Lewis Dunk, long ball over the top, and youngster Evan Ferguson completely bullies the Arsenal defender and manages to score his first Premier League goal. What did you make of the young man's performance?
The movement from him for the goal was phenomenal. You see him drop, and Lewis Dunk plays the ball, and the first thing he's thinking is, "I'm running forwards and I'm running towards the box, towards the goal, to try and get the ball in." And that's something that we've not really seen from a striker. We've been calling out for, I'm not going to sit here and say he is 100% the answer, but we've been calling out for someone that's going to play that strong striker role and just get into amazing positions, and their sole purpose is to get the ball in the net. And that's what we saw from Ferguson. I thought he was absolutely marvellous. He took the goal unbelievably well to come up against, a centre-back, I think it was Saliba, who's been performing pretty decently this season, and to bully him off the ball. The finish was delightful underneath Ramsdale. And he didn't stop there. After that, he was getting into some great positions. He could have had a second goal. The ball was about an inch away from his boot. And I think we've got a really positive thing going here. And we've had the chat about, we don't want it to be Connolly 2.0. We don't want to give him too much too soon. But I think based on that performance, why not see what he can do against Everton? And if he puts in another performance like he did in the last 20 minutes against Arsenal, then he has to start the next game. He's given me no reason why he shouldn't start against Everton. And then I think it should be treated like that. If he goes on to have a great game against Everton, no reason why he shouldn't start against Middlesbrough in the Cup. No reason why he shouldn't start against Liverpool in our next home game. So really exciting stuff, and I can't wait to see what more he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I've made my thoughts clear about Ferguson. I hope he does start against Everton, because it changed the game for us. I think I said in the first half on the group chat, we missed someone just popping in at the back post, because I think March put a ball in and there was just no one there to just tap it home. And sometimes that's just what you need, that fox in the box, and it's a bit of a cliche, but we haven't had one of those since Glenn Murray left. We've had no prolific goal scorers. We've had no instinctive goal scorers, I would say. So Ferguson does give me a bit of hope. We'll talk about him a little bit more when we look ahead to Everton. But let's talk about the thing that the last piece of negativity, I suppose, and that is perhaps one of the most ridiculous offside decisions I think I've ever seen. Matoma scores an absolutely lovely goal to make it would have made it a very nervy finish. Would have been 4-3
with an assist from Ferguson on that as well.
Yeah, but his trailing studs were offside as he returned from an offside position. Aaron, I was quite cross about this decision. What did you make of it?
It's offside, isn't it? Really, nothing I can. It is. His trading foot's offside.
But what advantage does it gain? And that's what great smooth. But no advantage.
Let the law. It's offside.
Thing is, I still think
as boring and as politically correct I sound, it is offside. It's wrong. Don't get me wrong. It shouldn't be.
It's anti-football.
Yeah, because like you said, there is no advantage from coming back from goal, but obviously he's gained an advantage because he scored. But it doesn't. It's offside. It's just offside. It really is. It's annoying. It shouldn't be offside, but it is.
Yeah, crap, isn't it? Bloody VAR. So anti-football. But yeah, I found that really frustrating, and I still think when it's that marginal, there's got to be a better way, because when you talk about the margin of error, when it's a stud, you've got to think, really. But as Aaron says, it doesn't matter. There's no point moaning about it, really. But it did make me cross. And Kurtis, it would have set up a really lovely, spicy finish with about another 6 minutes to be played, would it not? Do you think? I mean, I know this is completely hypothetical, Kurtis, but do you think, if that goal had been allowed to stand, do you think Brighton could have gone on to nick a point?
No, realistically, probably not. I mean, I want to say, we probably would have won 6-4 or something like that. That would have been great, but realistically, I'm not sure. I mean, I would have preferred it to finish 4-3. That would have been fantastic, But realistically, we probably wouldn't have done.
Nah, probably not. But no, I think I think, as I've made myself quite clear already, I think the first hour was really poor. I think it took the kids coming on to spice things up, and maybe, as you say, Aaron, maybe it was De Zerbi saying, you know what, go out there and just show me what you can do, because I thought Sarmiento, Enciso, Ferguson, they looked more threatening than March and Trossard had done all game. It's just a shame that we decided to turn up after an hour, because I think if we had given Arsenal a better game of it, we could have caused a bit of an upset. But hey ho, we move. So let's look ahead then to tomorrow's fixture, about Everton, and we play Everton away. We've already discussed a little bit about Trossard, whether we think he should be involved in the match day, in the starting 11, and a bit about Evan Ferguson. So, Joe, just thinking ahead to Everton, then who would you start? Who would you bench?
Bench Trossard, start Ferguson, 100% have to, based on the last 20 minutes against Arsenal. If you're asking for my full lineup prediction, it'd be Sanchez, back four, Veltman, Dunk, Colwill, and Estupinian. I'd have Caicedo, Gross, Caicedo, Gross, Lallana, and then the front three of March, Matoma, and Ferguson.
Very nice indeed.
I don't know if
Aaron,
McAllister would be fit
No.
or ready to start, so I don't know.
I think McAllister at best will make the bench personally. But obviously, Roberto De Zerbi, he might have thought, against Arsenal, we didn't have a midfield, so I'm going to put Caicedo and Ali Mack back together. Aaron, we have released our views on Twitter, on Instagram, already. But who would your starting 11 be?
Sanchez, Veltman, Dunk, Colwell, Purvis, Caicedo, probably Lallana with Gilmore, and then I would play Sacramento. What I would like to see is Ferguson, but I reckon I'll go Trossard still, and Matoma. I personally think he'll go Trossard and he'll start Ferguson on Saturday. My personal feeling. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it would make more logical sense to start him in the FA Cup. Personally, give him 90 minutes against a team where he probably could bag a couple of goals, give him some confidence, and I feel like rest the likes of Trossard, March, and that lot for Saturday.
Yeah, I think you sometimes, as you say, like logically speaking, it probably will be Trossard, but we could hope for Ferguson after his performance against Arsenal. Kurtis, what would your starting 11 be, please?
Pretty much exactly the same as Joe's. And as you mentioned, viewers, you can go onto our Instagram where you can look at all of our predicted lineups and lots of other great posts that are going up on there. But yeah, I think I'd love to see Ferguson start, but I'm not sure if he will. But here's hoping.
Yep, as Kurtis has said, you can check our lineups on Instagram. However, I'll give you mine anyway. Sanchez in goal, back four, Veltman, Dunk, Colwell, and Purvis. And then I went for a midfield two of Caicedo and Gilmore. I thought for all of Gilmore's poor first half, I thought he looked a lot better in the second half. And I think alongside an actual defensive midfielder, he'd do quite well. And then in front of Gilmore and Caicedo, I had Lallana, and then March, Matoma on the wings, and Ferguson up top, with no room in the starting 11 for Trossard, who has been bang average since returning from the World Cup. But let us know your thoughts down below, who you think will start the game against Everton. Also, let us know your thoughts about Trossard. What would you do? Would you sell Trossard? Would you move him on? Would you keep him? Because as I say, on his day, he can be a match day winner. But those days are too few and far between. I think that leads us very nicely, gentlemen, to the end of our show today. It's been a bit of a bit of a hodgepodge because we've done two games in quick succession, but we move. So we'll come back to you soon with our Everton game, and everything will be hunky-dory, nicely as ever. But Aaron has got his hand up. Oh God, I feel like I'm back at school. No, Aaron, that's not for a couple of days yet. Yes, Aaron.
Are we going to do score predictions, sir?
Oh, thank you, Aaron. You reminded me. Aaron, I'll do Kurtis first because he's got to go. Kurtis, score prediction for Everton, please.
2-1. 2-1, I think.
Goal scorers?
Matoma again, we'll say, because he's in a good form. Gross. And anybody but Mopay for them. I'll be fine with that. So.
Oh God, I'd forgotten about Mopay. But no, I'll take that. I'll take it.
But I'll talk to you soon, lads. All right.
Take it easy, Kurtis. We'll see you next time. Joe, coming to you next. Who do you think is going to score? What's the score going to be?
3-2 again to us. So a repeat of last season's. Pretty much the same date as well, but one day out. And I think it'll be I think Ferguson will get one. I think Matoma will get one, and I think McAllister will get one off the bench. That'd be nice.
What a good return that would be for Alexis McAllister. And finally, Aaron, your score prediction, please.
I'm going to go a little bit off the cuff here. I'm going to go 2-1 Everton. I think that point at City is going to really rile them up. I feel like we're not going to expect it. And I just Goodison Park's a horrible place to go anyway. And, just wouldn't surprise me. It just wouldn't surprise me. Personally, it would not surprise me.
You've done this before, haven't you, Aaron?
I've lived long enough to never expect wins. Being a Brighton fan, just expect the worst, hope for the best. So, that's another one of those.
that mantra has gotten us through some tough years. But it would be very Brighton, wouldn't it, to lose against Everton and then to beat Liverpool at home? Is it next after that?
Yeah,
it would be
in the league anyway.
Yeah, it'd be very Brighton thing to do that. So I'm going to go heart over head, and I'm going to go 2-0. I want a clean sheet, and I'm going to go with Matoma getting a brace. That's what I think. But anyway, we move. Let us know your score predictions in the comments down below, guys. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode of the Albion Obsessed. It's been a bit rusty coming back, but it feels good to hear my voice coming through the microphone again, and it's been absolutely wonderful to see your faces as well, gentlemen. So until next time, wherever you may be, whenever you may be, take it easy, and we'll see you next time. Take care.